folks, 6 wide receivers gone by 24? Cleveland might not be able to gamble. They might not be able to dance around Carnell Tate at pick 6. It's a position of need for plenty of teams this year that have first-round picks. And then Schrager listed off 6 names in a row of wide receivers to watch potentially in the first round. Not only does that include Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson and Mekhi Lemon. We know those guys should be first rounders, but also Omar Cooper Jr. Apparently the Jets really like him. KC Concepcion, Denzel Boston. You've heard the names before, but Schrager says those 6 are all first rounders.
Something just shifted around the Cleveland Browns, and if you weren't paying close attention, you probably missed how big this actually is. Because this isn't just another draft rumor or another media talking point. This is the kind of development that quietly changes everything about how Cleveland has to approach this offseason. We're talking about a potential wide receiver run in the first round, major trade movement brewing across the league, and a situation where the Browns might be forced into a decision they weren't planning to make this early. And when you combine all of that together, it creates pressure, real pressure.
Several executives believe we're likely to see a flurry of activity in the first half of round 1. Additionally, this specific draft lacks depth in the later rounds. Many teams plan to pursue extra day 2 and day 3 picks.
Now let's set this up properly, because this didn't just pop out of nowhere. An insider like Peter Schrager doesn't just throw things out randomly. When he starts listing 6 wide receivers as potential first-round locks, that's not speculation, that's intel. Names like Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, and others being grouped together as likely first-rounders tells you one thing. Teams are prioritizing wide receiver heavily this year. And not just 1 or 2 teams, multiple teams. That means demand is high, and supply at the top is about to disappear fast. Here's the part nobody is talking about. If 6 wide receivers really go before pick 24, the Cleveland Browns are in serious trouble when it comes to landing a true WR1. Because suddenly, that "we'll just wait and take one later" strategy, it's gone, completely gone. You're no longer choosing from the top tier, you're settling. And for a team that desperately needs a number 1 option, settling is not how you fix your offense.
The Browns' main focus is going to be offensive line. Todd Monken has said that. Andrew Berry has said that. They're very vocal about it, and it should be. It is the most important thing in today's NFL, arguably.
This is where it gets dangerous, because now Cleveland is being forced into a corner. Either you take a wide receiver early, maybe even earlier than you planned, or you risk missing out entirely. And that's a massive shift in draft philosophy. Because coming into this, everything we were hearing pointed towards offensive line being the main priority. Todd Monken has emphasized it, Andrew Berry has emphasized it. Build the trenches, protect the quarterback, control the game. That was the plan. But now, that plan is under pressure, because if you don't grab a receiver early, you might not get one at all.
But if there is no trade partner for the Cleveland Browns at 6, they got to stay there and make this pick right. And I don't want to get too reachy here. This is a top 6 pick. Carnell Tate, to me, is the safe option. You're not good at drafting wide receivers, Barry.
Let's break down the options, because this is where it gets really interesting. Option 1 is simple but risky. Take your wide receiver at pick 6. If a guy like Carnell Tate is there, you don't overthink it. You take him, lock in your WR1, and move forward. The upside? You secure the position. The downside? You might be passing on a critical offensive lineman, which could hurt you just as much in the long run. Option 2, and this is where things get aggressive, you trade up from pick 24. And if you know anything about Andrew Berry, you know he's not afraid to make moves. If the board starts falling the wrong way, Cleveland could absolutely package picks to jump into that wide receiver range. But that comes with its own risk, giving up future assets in a draft that already lacks depth later on.
If Cleveland doesn't think a wide receiver 1 will fall, they might just trade pick 24 for their wide receiver 1. Marvin Harrison Jr., a name that comes up. Brian Thomas Jr., a name that comes up. And the Browns always do this. They trade for wide receiver 1.
And then there's option 3, which honestly feels the most Browns out of all of them. you trade for a proven wide receiver. Because let's be honest, that's what this franchise has done over and over again. Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Odell Beckham Jr. This team has a history of going out and getting receivers instead of drafting them. And now you're hearing names like Brian Thomas Jr. being floated in trade discussions. That's not random. That's a pattern repeating itself. This is where young teams usually make a mistake. They assume the draft will fall their way. But the reality is, it rarely does. And Cleveland knows this better than anyone. The last time they drafted a first-round wide receiver? 2016, Corey Coleman. And let's just say that didn't exactly go as planned. That history matters. It affects how decisions are made in the present.
Now, Jordan Schultz says there's a belief among teams that the top of the draft for the Cowboys, who have picks 12 and 20, are a team to watch in trade-up scenarios. That's according to multiple league sources. Several teams have said they believe Dallas is targeting a player the Giants also covet, and getting ahead of them would be ideal if the price makes sense.
Now, let's layer in the second major piece of news, the trade chaos that's building across the league. Reports from insiders like Jordan Schultz are pointing toward a draft where movement is going to be everywhere. Teams want to trade up, teams want to trade down. But here's the twist. Nobody wants to give up future premium picks. That creates a bottleneck. Everyone wants to move, but nobody wants to pay the price. And right in the middle of that chaos sits Cleveland. Here's the part nobody is talking about. The Browns actually want to trade down. It makes sense. More picks, more flexibility, more chances to fix multiple holes. But what if nobody bites? What if teams like the Dallas Cowboys make their move with someone else? What if the top of the draft locks up before Cleveland gets a deal done? Then what? Then you're stuck at 6. And now you have to make a decision you didn't fully plan for.
This was an Andrew Barry pick, by the way. His first ever first-round pick was Jed Wills. And they tried to do the thing where you switch tackle to the other side, which apparently Barry wants to do again this year. And so, unfortunately, the two positions we need most, we don't draft them that well.
This is where it gets dangerous, because reaching on a pick this high can set your franchise back. But playing it safe can also cost you if you miss out on elite talent. It's a no-win situation, unless you get it exactly right. And that's the pressure Andrew Barry is under right now. Because let's be real, he's not operating with unlimited patience anymore. The Jed Wills pick didn't fully hit. The receiver drafting track record isn't strong. At some point, you have to nail one of these. And don't overlook how this connects to the quarterback situation either. Whether it's Deshaun Watson trying to reestablish himself, or Shedeur Sanders potentially stepping into a bigger role, they need weapons. You cannot evaluate a quarterback properly if he doesn't have a true WR1. So this isn't just about filling a position, it's about unlocking the entire offense. This is where young players usually make a mistake. They think talent alone solves everything. But in the NFL, it's about fit, timing, and situation. You could draft a great receiver, but if the offensive line collapses, it doesn't matter. You could build a great line, but if nobody can separate downfield, it doesn't matter. Everything is connected. And right now, the Browns are trying to solve multiple problems at once with limited margin for error. So what does all of this mean? It means Cleveland is about to be one of the most active, unpredictable teams in this entire draft. Whether it's trading up, trading down, or pulling off a surprise deal for a veteran receiver, something is going to happen, because standing still is not an option anymore. And now the real question, what would you do if you're running this team? Do you play it safe and take the best available player? Do you force the issue and go get your WR1 no matter the cost? Or do you trust that the board will fall your way and risk missing out completely? Because one thing is clear, this isn't just another draft for the Browns. This is a turning point. And if they get it wrong, we're not just talking about one bad pick. We're talking about another season slipping away before it even starts.